Thank you very much, ANS Wilma. Before we proceed, allow me to acknowledge our participant na galing pa po talaga sa malayo. Our representative from the LGU of Sarangani, Mr. Norman Gascon, and then a representative from LGU of Santo Tomas, Ms. Concordia Alincos. Thank you very much for coming po. Before we present the regional estimates, we would like to take this opportunity to orient our audience on how we compute these estimates. Here to present the official poverty methodology, I'll give the floor once again to ANS Wilma Guillen.
Mabuti naman po, ang discussion po ay tamang-tama sa inyong snacks. So, para hindi po kayo masyadong ma-boring, but I would really request you to really pay particular attention to the presentation so that you will be able to appreciate more the poverty statistics that will be presented after me. I just would like to quote Angus Deaton. Angus Deaton is a British-American economist and academic, awarded the Nobel Memorial Prize in Economic Sciences for his analysis on consumption, poverty, and welfare. He said, "Measuring poverty at the local level is straightforward." Madali lang, straightforward lang daw po. At the national level, it is hard, but manageable. But at the international level, or the world as a whole, it is extremely difficult. So much so that some people argue that it is not worth it. So, ito lang po, introduction sa inyo na madali lang naman ang pag-estimate po ng ating poverty statistics. If we really want to understand the methodology, it's very easy. So please, may I encourage you to please listen to the discussion. The next slide would simply show us the outline for this presentation. What are the considerations in the estimation of official poverty statistics? What are the major inputs and what are the data sources? What is the official poverty estimation methodology that we are using? And then what are other official poverty statistics and other poverty measures that are available today? So, the first consideration in the definition of poor, the first consideration in the estimation of official poverty statistics, I should say, pertains to the definition of poor. So, kailangan po, meron po tayong the same reference, the same definition, kung sino ba yung tinatawag natin na poor. Poor Filipinos, poor families. So, it is based on a law, and this is Republic Act 8425 of 1997, issued during the time of President Ramos. This is also called, 1997. It is also called the Social Reform and Poverty Alleviation Act. So, ang definition po ng poor, they are the individuals or families and families whose income fall below the poverty threshold as defined by the NEDA. So within NEDA, since the PSA is attached to the NEDA, we have been tasked to develop the methodology in consultation with our mother agency, the National Economic and Development Authority. They are the individuals and families who cannot afford in a sustained manner to provide their minimum basic needs of food, health, education, housing, and other essential amenities of life. So this is our standard definition for poor as far as the Philippine government is concerned, as far as the Philippines is concerned. It is a legislation, it is a law. Now, the next consideration is, why is it that the PSA released the poverty statistics? Why is it that it is not the DSWD? Why is it that it is not the DENR? Why is it that it is not any other government organization? So again, we have Executive Order 352 called as the designation of statistical activities that will generate critical data for decision-making of the government and the private sector that was issued in July 1996, July 1, 1996, and this was during the time of President Ramos. In there, in EO 352, it is stated that PSA is to release the official poverty statistics every 3 years. Although there is a clamor from our legislators and from the executive department, that branch of the government, that we should come up with more frequent poverty statistics. Hindi lang siya every 3 years. So we have plans to do an every 2 years dissemination of poverty statistics, but that will be after 2021. That will be after this administration. The third consideration in the estimation of official poverty statistics is on the methodology. Who developed the current methodology and who compiles the data? So we had before the Technical Committee on Poverty Statistics, or the TC-POPSTAT, which was composed of experts on poverty statistics. Some of these members were the former Secretary of NEDA, Secretary Arsenio Balisacan, the President of the Philippine Institute for Development Studies, Dr. Celia M. Reyes. We have also eminent statisticians from the UP Los Baños and UP Statistical Center, UP Diliman, and other government statisticians. The former Director General, Secretary of the National Statistical Coordination Board, now joined with the PSA, Dr. Romulo Virola. Our former national statistician, Dr. Lisa Grace Estresales, who is now back to her position as UP Vice President for Finance. Our current national statistician, Undersecretary Yusek Mapa. So these are eminent economists and statisticians who form part of the experts on the Technical Committee on Poverty Statistics. So they were tasked in the development and formulation of the official poverty estimation methodology. So marami pong it took years, 2 years at least, for them to develop the methodology, kasi pagkatapos po nilang matest, makapag-formulate ng methodology, meron din po silang mga consultation ng ginawa. So noon pong na-formulate nila yung methodology, it has to go through a resolution approved by the Statistical Board at that time. So noon pong na-approve ng Statistical Board itong methodology na to, we have called it as the Official Poverty Statistics Estimation Methodology, and it has been used since then. Kaya lang po, makikita natin mamaya, ito na, on the next slide, ang ating pong methodology ay hindi po siya nakakaga sa bato. It is not written in stone because we have to have refinements, enhancements of the methodology to capture the recent trends, expenditure patterns, and other developments po. So just to give you a short history of the development of the methodology for the estimation of poverty statistics, unang-una po in 1987. So how many years is that? 33 years ago, no? The first official methodology for estimating poverty was formulated, and it was used for the 1985, 1988, and 1991 poverty statistics. So meron po tayong available data niyan. But because of the continuous review by the technical committee, after 5 years, in 1992, they have excluded alcohol, tobacco, recreation, durable furniture and equipment, as well as other miscellaneous expenditures, because these are not really basic non-food requirements. Hindi naman po kailangan itong mga ito as basic para po tayo ay mabuhay ng malusog at malakas. Actually, nakakapagpahina nga ng katawan, di ba? Nakakapagbigay nga ng sakit itong mga ito. So the estimates that were generated based on the 1992 refined methodology were 1994 and 1997. Eh bakit meron dito 1995 to 1991? So para po maging comparable itong 1994, 1997 with the 1985, 88, and 1991, we back estimated using this methodology na refined in 1992. So we have the revised estimates for the 1985, 1988, and 1991 using the same methodology that were used for 1994 and 1997, so we can compare the estimates. Now, after several years in 2003, the second refinement or enhancement of the methodology was again done. And what was this? We generated provincial poverty statistics using regional menus that were priced using provincial prices. So meron tayong regional menu, ang presyo nun ay prices at the provincial level to generate provincial poverty statistics. And we use this methodology for the 2000, 2003, and 2006. And to be comparable with previous data, we back estimated only 1 year, the 1987, using the same methodology. So other estimates, 85, 88, 91, hindi po natin siya pwedeng i-compare dito because iba po yung methodology nun. So that's one of the things that we have to be very careful in statistics. We can only compare statistics that have the same methodology, that are using the same standard. So ang comparable po using the 2003 methodology are 2000 to 03 to 06 and 1997. And then the latest so far, the revision that was done, refinement done on the methodology was in 2011. This is the third revision or enhancement. What was that? So we generated provincial poverty statistics using provincial menus. Kanina, using regional menu. In 2011, we used provincial menus. And also, we tried to enhance the comparability of estimate across space. When we say across space, across the different provinces, across the different regions, and also over time. Sorry. When we say over time, yung pong data series po natin. So, may I have water please? The estimates that we have using the 2011 refined methodology were 2009, 2012, 2015, and 2018. But again, for comparability purposes, we back estimated using the same methodology the 1991 poverty statistics and the 2006 poverty statistics. So, malinaw naman po yun, no? Let me proceed. What are the major data inputs and the major data sources for poverty statistics? So, dapat meron po tayong provincial food bundle. We have price data, actual provincial prices of food items, and we have income of families or per population, per Filipino. So ito lang po yung tatlo natin kailangan, ulitin ko. Mamaya po may exam ha. Food bundle, prices, and income. So the food bundle comes from the FNRI. not from the PSA because the expertise on nutrition is to the FNRI. So price data, we gather them from the different price surveys that we have. We have the retail price survey, we have the farm price survey that we run every month or 3 times a week pa yung iba, 2 times a week. And then the third input is the income of family or per person from the family income and expenditure survey. So let's go to details. The provincial food bundles, as mentioned, comes from the FNRI, particularly from the National Nutrition Survey that they are conducting. So the one that we are using in the methodology was the 2003 NNS of FNRI. Maaaring tanungin nyo, 2003, meron na tayong 2008, meron na rin tayong 2015, di po ba? Alam niyo po ba yung NNS? Yan, tumatanong si RT, kung si RT lang ang aware dito. Kaya lang po, sabi natin kanina, ang methodology ay inaaprubahan ng statistical board. So, hindi po siya pwedeng palitan anytime. Sabi natin kanina, we enhance the comparability across time. So, from then on na ginamit yung 2003 hanggang ngayon na wala pang review of the methodology, to be comparable across the years yung estimates po natin, we continue to use the 2003. Okay. The second point on the provincial food bundles is that the nutritional value of the food items in the food bundle was sourced from the 1997 food composition table. Sabihin nyo na naman, anong year na ngayon? 2018 itong estimate. And this is 1997. So how many years back ito? 21 years. So 1997, 2018 estimate. 21 years. Pero bakit namin ginagamit din yon? 1997 dahil wala pa pong updated na food composition table. So ito po kasi yung evidence base namin. We have no other basis to use. There is no updated food composition table updates to the 1997. That's why we continue to use the 1997. So hindi lang po kasi namin basta kinukuha kung saan-saan. We have evidences as the sources of the data that we are using for the methodology. So the food composition table was compared with the provincial recommended energy and nutrient intake, or what we call as the RENI, and assessed for adequacy using the criteria of 100% adequacy for energy and protein and 80% adequacy for the major vitamins and minerals. Yun po ay major consideration because we would like to ensure that the food bundle that the Filipinos are eating are able to supply the 100% RENI and 80% adequacy for vitamins and minerals so that they will be active and economically participating po sa ating pong ekonomiya. And then the third, on the next slide, the third point on provincial food bundle is that they were subjected to the test of revealed preferences to check their comparability and consistency. So that is our food bundle. The second input data was price. So as mentioned, the price comes from the retail price survey and the farm price survey of the PSA conducted every week or twice a week. Yung retail price survey namin, yung farm price survey is conducted every month. And then the third input, on the next slide, ano yung third input natin? Food bundle, price, pangatlo? Income. So the income, next slide please. The income as mentioned comes from the FIES 2018. Ang objective po ng FIES is to gather family income and expenditure and related information affecting income and expenditure levels and patterns in the Philippines. So we conducted the FIES 2 times. We called the first visit last July 2018 to cover information on income and expenditure from January to June 2018. We went back to the same households during the second visit in January 2019 to get information for the July to December 2018. And then we add the January to June and July to December income and expenditure to get the full year income and expenditure of the families, the Filipinos, during the year 2018. So, ginagawa ito every 3 years, the frequency of the conduct of the FIES. And the major data items that we are getting from the FIES are the following. First, the demographic characteristics, the members of the family, their age, their sex, education, employment. Ang employment nasa LFS na pala po namin. And then we get the expenditures and other disbursements. We get the housing characteristics of the different households, families. And then we get the income and other receipts. So hindi lang po yung wages and salary, kundi all other sources of income, including transfers from abroad, transfers from domestic, yung mga transfers natin sa domestic, kasama po dyan ang CCT, kasama ang UCT, even po yung mga pinapadala na balikbayan boxes, binibigyan po ng kaakibat na presyo yung mga yun as part of imputed income of the family. And then we also get information on the entrepreneurial activities as one of the sources of income of the Filipino families. So as mentioned earlier, the total sample size was 180,000 households all over the country. And this is 4 times the 45,000 sample households we used to cover before 2018. So in 2015, in 2012, in 2009, and before that, we were only covering 45,000 households across the country. But for the 2018 FIES, we covered 180,000. A very large sample size that cost the government around 400 million pesos. That's how it costs. So it's a very costly, it's one of the most important surveys of the PSA aside from the Census of Population and Housing, na mas malaki pa po yung cost ng CPH. And you can look at the GAA, how much this survey projects and censuses are costing the government, are costing the Filipino people. So that's how important po ang ating pong FIES. And then the sampling design, nais ko lang pong mabanggit din po sa inyo, we are using master sample. So when we say master sample, every time that we do the Census of Population and Housing, we do the Census of POPSEN, we formulate our sampling design experts with consultants who are eminent statisticians also. So it's not just internal to the PSA, but also we are getting consultants, sampling expert consultants in coming up with a master sample. So the 2013 master sample of households, base po siya sa CPH 2010, but since it was developed in 2013, we tag it as 2013 master sample. Bakit po siya master sample? Because it is the frame for all other household surveys of the PSA. So FIES is one household survey. We have other household surveys like the labor force survey, which is done on a quarterly basis. We also have annual poverty indicator survey, which is done every in between FIES years. We have household surveys like household energy consumption survey. So lahat po ng household surveys, we use the master sample. That's why we call it master sample, because it is used for several purposes, household surveys. Now, you may ask, how much time do we get to the households the interviewers spend in getting information from the households? It takes 4 to 6 hours of interview. Because there are 81 pages of this, 50 pages on expenditure, kasi lahat po ng expenditure items, kinukuha po namin, tinatanong po namin. And then there are 24 pages for the income, and then 7 pages for the identification and social demographic characteristics. Ayan, nagtatanungan na po kayo at nagtatawanan. Kaya niyo po bang magstay para interviewin po kayo ng 4 to 6 hours? Humingin din sila, sir, dito. Kaya niyo po ba? Pero meron tayong mga good-hearted Filipino households who are really patiently and graciously responding to our surveys. Because if we don't engage them pretty well, wala po tayong basihan ng mga policies and legislation namin. So that's how difficult it is. And I'm really discussing this passionately sa inyo para po maintindihan nyo how much resources and time we have invested for the basis of our poverty statistics. Kaya nga po 2018 ginawa, nilabas lang po namin December 2019 yung results, and then regional dissemination 2020 because it takes a lot of time to be doing the processing of all of this. Ganun po siya kahirap. But we ensure you that we are following international standard statistical protocols to make sure that we get quality information from the FIES as basis for a quality estimate on poverty statistics. Now, we have the inputs, income, prices, food bundle. The next problem now that we're going to solve is how do we generate the official poverty statistics? Nandyan na po lahat yung ating po mga ingredients in the computation of the official poverty statistics. So just a summary, this illustrates, pakilabas na lang po natin lahat. I'm repeating terms, I'm repeating some of the things that I am saying kasi naniniwala po ako, repetition leads to perfection. Yeah, even to myself, pag ulit-ulit mo yan, alam niyo po, ulit-ulit na prina-practice nyo, mas naiintindihan natin, mas naunawa natin. So again, we have the food threshold, which we computed using the food bundle and the prices, and the poverty threshold. And then we compare this with the income of the family or the Filipino to get the subsistence incidence or the poverty incidence. So let's dig deeper into the estimation of poverty statistics. First, the definition of food threshold. By definition, food threshold, yan, lumabas din, is the minimum income required for a family or individual to meet the basic food needs which satisfies the nutritional requirements 100% RENI at least, and at least 80% for vitamins and minerals, for economically necessary and socially desirable physical activities para makapagtrabaho pa rin yung mga Filipino people, mga members of the family. And this food threshold is also referred to as the subsistence threshold or the food poverty line. So tatlo pong pangalan niya, subsistence, food threshold, subsistence threshold, or food poverty line. How do we estimate the food threshold? So, andito na po yung National Reference Food Bundle. At dito pong National Reference Food Bundle, dito po ibinabase yung Provincial Food Bundle. So, dahil provincial po yung ine-estimate natin na poverty statistics, we are using provincial food bundles that were derived from the National Reference Food Bundle. So, the National Reference Food Bundle as you can see on the second column, meets the at least 100% energy and nutrient intake, and then at least 80% major vitamins and minerals. So, energy, 100. Protein, 123. Ang threshold natin, 100%. So, nasatisfy po yan. Other vitamins and minerals, iron, thiamine, riboflavin, sabi natin at least 80. So, we met the RENI and the 80% cutoff for vitamins and minerals. If we have this food bundle, ito pong nakalatag na National Reference Food Bundle and the Provincial Food Bundle, hindi naman po araw-araw yan. Ibig sabihin, araw-araw yan yung kinakain nyo kasi may mga substitutes naman po yan. But then, this food bundle are the least cost in the province especially, and these are visualizable. Ibig sabihin lang po natin, naluluto po natin ito at nakakain po natin as a bayan. Tapos locally available in the province. And again, the very important one, meets the 100% ready and 80% of vitamins and minerals. So, for breakfast, sample lang po, no? We have scrambled egg, coffee with milk, and boiled rice corn mix. Maring sabihin nyo, di naman yung kinakain ko. Kayo. Pero yung iba, yan yung kinakain nila. So, sa lunch, meron tayong boiled munggo with malunggay and dried dilis. May banana din na panghimagas. At ang ating laging nakikita sa Filipino table, the boiled rice or rice corn mix. And then for dinner, we have fish, fried fish or boiled pork. So kumakain po ng karne at ng isda ang ating food bundle. Makikita din po natin ang isda at ang karne. And then vegetable dish. And then also boiled rice and rice corn mix. So, meron din pong snacks ang ating National Reference Food Bundle, which is either bread or boiled root crab. So, let's dig deeper po, no? Paano siya ine-estimate yung ating food threshold? So, kagaya ng nasabi ko kanina, meron po tayong prices from the Retail Price Survey and the Farm Price Survey of the PSA. So, ang presyo po na ginamit natin is the average kasi ang ating pong income and expenditure, ang coverage ay from January to December. So the prices that will have to be used also is the average from January to December. Hindi lang po siya presyo ng January, hindi lang po presyo ng March, hindi lang po presyo ng December, but the average price, dahil sabi ko kanina, we collect 2 times a week, once a month, kaya po in-average po namin yon for the year 2018. Kasi 2018 po yung ine-estimate natin. So we got the average for all the food items in our food bundle. So this is the sample translation for Davao del Sur food bundle. So nandyan po yung scrambled egg, coffee with milk, and boiled rice. So mapansin nyo po yung mga blow font like boiled rice, banana latundan, fried tulingan, boiled alubati, and boiled saba. Blue font po siya kasi ito po yung napapalitan sa bawat probinsya. Kung ano po yung substitute nito that is least cost and available in the province that we are estimating the poverty statistics for, yun po ay naso-substitutan po siya. So, punta po tayo sa actual estimation na, samahan niyo po ako. Scrambled egg. Sa amin pong retail price survey, wala pong scrambled egg na item. Hindi ka pupunta kami sa palengke, for example. Meron po, magkano po ang presyo ng scrambled egg? Wala po dun. Wala pong sasabi nun. So ano po ba yung ingredients ng scrambled egg? Itlog, oil, asin, at saka, para maluto mo, gas. So pagpunta po ng aming mga data collectors sa retail price collection points, magkano po ang presyo ng itlog? Ililista yon. Yung average ng price ng itlog from January to December 2018, itinabi po namin dun sa itlog. Asin, magkano ang presyo? Nag-iiba-iba ba ang presyo ng asin? Parang ito yata yung very inelastic, no? Hindi masyadong nagbabago yung asin. And then, nakalatag din po yung average price din yan from January to December. And then, oil. Kinuha din po namin yan, yung average price from January to December. So, nakatapat sa scrambled egg, average price of egg, plus average price of salt, plus average price of oil. Total nun. That's across scrambled egg. Punta tayo po sa coffee with milk. Marami po tayong 3-in-1 na ngayon, no? Pero that time, nung dinevelop, kailan nga po dinevelop yung per history natin? 2011. So wala pa po nun. 3-in-1 masyado. Ngayon, nadami na. Pero dahil ginagamit natin yung methodology that will be consistent across time, yung pa pong presyo po ng kape, ano pang ingredient ng coffee with milk? Sugar and milk. Coffee with milk hindi coffee with cream. So, coffee with milk po. So, that time, ang ginamit namin na milk po dito ngayon, I think it's Nido, because before it was Bear Brand. So, magkano yung price ng coffee, January to December average, plus the price of sugar, January to December, plus the price of milk from January. Tinabi po namin sa coffee with milk. Yung boiled rice, ano yung ingredients ng boiled rice? Bigas, tubig. Tubig. Pero yung tubig po naman, hindi na po namin napresyohan yon. So, yung price po ng rice yan. So, meron na po tayong total price for the breakfast. Ganon din po yung ginawa namin sa lunch. So, last kong example, itong boiled bongo with malunggay and dried dilis. So, ang ingredients natin yan, munggo, dried dilis, malunggay, ano pa? Kamatis, sibuyas, asin, or bagoong. Sa amin kasi bagoong. Sa inyo dito, salt? Ano nilalagay nyo? Salt? Ayan, may nagbabagoong daw, may nagsusalt. So, tinotal po namin yung price nun, tinabi po namin siya sa boiled bongo with malunggay and dried dilis. So, ganun po yung hinanap po namin. Pag tinotal po namin yung cost ng breakfast hanggang snacks, that is your food cost for the day for 2018. Now, the food cost for the day, we translated it into per month. So, yung per month po na yon, pag namalingki po tayo, usually kaya family po yung reference namin una, no? Average family of 5. Usually, pag namalingki po tayo, pang pamilya, di ba? Hindi naman mamalingki ako, mamalingki yung kapatid ko, mamalingki yung nanay ko. Namamalingki po tayo per family. So, that is the food cost for the family per day. We multiplied it by 30.4. Bakit siya 30.4? That is the average number of days per month in 2018. Ito po bang 2020, yung average number of days per month? Pareho ba? 30.4? Hindi, kasi leap year siya. So, we use again the average number of days for 2018. So, emphasis po on 2018, time is very important in statistics. You cannot combine different years for an estimate for a particular year. So, pare-pareho po lahat yan na 2018. So, meron na po tayong monthly food threshold. Ganun po siya kinompute. So, madali lang po, no? Sabi ni Angus dito, it's very straightforward. Okay. The next thing that we have to compute, meron na tayong food threshold, is the poverty threshold. But before that, we define poverty threshold. This is the minimum income required for a family or an individual to meet the basic food, which is the food threshold, and non-food requirements. Dinagdag lang po natin yung non-food requirements. So, what are these basic non-food requirements na kasama sa methodology that was formulated several years ago? Clothing and footwear, fuel, light and water, housing maintenance and other minor repairs, rental of occupied dwelling units, medical care, kasama din po dyan, education, kasama dyan, transportation, communication, non-durable furnishing, household operations, and personal care and effects. So, kahit mga shampoo nyo dyan, sabon, kasama din po dyan sa basic non-food requirements. So, the poverty threshold is equal to the cost of minimum basic needs for food and non-food. Now, paano na natin ngayon kino-compute? The next slide shows us that the poverty threshold is computed indirectly. Hindi po kagaya doon sa food threshold that is computed directly. But this non-food this poverty threshold is computed indirectly. The formula is the food threshold that we earlier computed, we divide it by the FE-TBE ratio, which stands for the food expenditure for FE divided by the total basic expenditure or TBE. And food threshold divided by the ratio of the food expenditure to the total basic expenditure. The next slide would show us further that the FE-TBE ratio was based on the 4 FIES years, average of FIES years. FIES 2000, FIES 2003, FIES 2006, and FIES 2009. So the average food expenditure at that time was 69.83%, yung average ng 4 FIES years na yun. This means that the basic food needs accounts for 69.83% or 70% of the expenditure of the households. And the 30% is for the non-food expenditure of the household. So, ganun po siya dinerive. It's an indirect way of computing the poverty threshold. Bakit po siya ginawang ganon? Again, for comparability purposes across time. Kaya po siya ginawa na nakapeg po siya sa 70%. Pero notice that we did not just come up with the number 70%. It came from the average of the 4 FIES years. So evidence-based din po siya. Now we already have the food threshold and we have the poverty threshold. The next thing to do in the poverty estimation is the generation of the subsistence and the poverty incidence. So how do we do that? Kinuha po natin yung income, per capita income from the FIES. And then that income, kinompare natin sa bawat family. Anong income ng family to? Per capita income ng family na to? We compared it with the food threshold or the food poverty line. Pagka mas mababa yung income niya sa food poverty line, we tag them as food poor. So, ginawa natin sa lahat ng households yon, families yon, and then tinotal po natin lahat ng food poor. That is the numerator, the sum of food poor, or the total count of food poor families. And then we divide that with the total weighted family or population. And the quotient gives us the subsistence incidence or the proportion of food poor. So, meron na po tayong subsistence incidence. The next thing is the poverty incidence. So, again, similarly, we get the income, per capita income of each family. Family 1, for example, per capita income, we compared it with the poverty threshold. If it is less than the poverty threshold, if the income is less than the poverty threshold, we tag that person or family as poor. So, ginawa natin sa lahat po ng families po yun. Lahat po ng population doon sa FIES. We get the total of those poor individuals or poor families, and then that is the numerator, the sum of poor, the total number of poor, divide also by the total weighted population. Bakit siya weighted population? Because we use the 2018 projected population using the 2015 Census of Population or PopCen. So even the population that we use is not 2015, it is also 2018. And that is a projected population based on the report of our experts on population projection. So, 2018 po lahat yan. Now, we got the poverty incidence or the proportion of poor. So, meron na po tayong subsistence incidence, meron na tayong poverty incidence. Alinaw naman po, no? Okay. Just a definition again, and this is a repetition again. Subsistence incidence is the proportion of families or individuals with per capita income less than the per capita food threshold to the total number of families or individuals. It's also called the proportion of the food poor. Poverty incidence, on the other hand, is the proportion of families and individuals with per capita income less than the per capita poverty threshold to the total number of families or individuals. So, also called the proportion of income poor. So, both po yung subsistence and poverty incidence, we express them as the proportion of families or proportion of population. So, madalas po no, lagi kaming tinatanong, ilan bilang ng Pilipino or families yung equivalent ng subsistence incidence natin at saka poverty incidence. So, we also release the magnitude of the poor or the count of the poor or the number of the poor. So, the magnitude of the poor simply refers to the number of families or individuals who are income poor, and the magnitude of the food poor or subsistence poor refers to the number of families or individuals who are food poor, subsistence poor. So, meron po ba kayong maalala? Ito pong magnitude natin ay yung mga numerators natin kanina sa formula natin. Yun po yun. Okay. Now, tinatanong kami, the next slide, pwede ba natin i-rank yung ating provinces? Kasi, bakit yung poverty incidence ng province na to mas mababa kaysa poverty incidence ng probinsya ito? Ito naman, mas mataas kaysa sa poverty incidence ng other provinces. We are not recommending the ranking of provinces according to poverty incidence. Bakit po? Kasi po, yung pong point estimate kung tawagin po namin, kaya siya point mag-isa lang. Meron po actually lower bound and upper bound. So, yung, ito yung upper bound, lower bound. So, yung point estimate po ng poverty incidence namin na nilalabas, yun po yung ipapakita po sa inyo sa report mamaya ni RD Pitt. Ito po, confidence intervals, kung tawagin namin yung upper and lower bound, sa bawat probinsya po, nag-o-overlap po siya. So, ibig sabihin, hindi talaga pinakamataas ito kasi maaaring yung estimate ay nag-o-overlap doon sa ibang provinces. So, because of the overlapping confidence intervals, we are not really recommending the ranking of the provinces. But instead, we are recommending that we cluster the provinces into 5 clusters. So, cluster 1 for the poorest and cluster 5 for the least poor. So, mapansin po nyo, it's the poorest and the least poor. Wala po tayong terminology dito na rich. Wala po rich sa atin. Lahat po tayong poor, poorest, or least poor lang po tayo. So, in the poverty statistics, we don't call anyone, any family, or any Filipino as rich or poor. We only tag everyone as poor, poorest, or least poor. Kahit na ang income niya ay 1 billion, least poor pa po siya in our poverty statistics. You may have other names outside of poverty statistics, but whenever we talk of poverty statistics among us, users of poverty statistics, we only have the least poor and the poor. So cluster 1 for the poorest, cluster 5 for the least poor. Okay, so that is our poverty statistics. Meron din po kami other official poverty statistics, and we have other poverty measures that are being developed right now. So meron po tayong 2015 and 2018 na first semester official poverty statistics. Pero we would like to inform you na we also have first semester 2006, 2009, and 2012. Meron din tayong full year official poverty statistics 2015 and 2018 which will be reported by RDP later on. But the comparable estimates are only for 2015 and 2018. We have 2006, 2009, and 2012, but we cannot compare it to the 2015 and 2018 because this 2006, 2009, and 2012 uses the 2006 based CPI basket. So meron na naman pong pumapasok na term, CPI basket. Itong CPI basket po, ito lang po yung listahan ng mga food items and manufactured items that we are collecting for the inflation report, for the consumer price index and the inflation report. So, mind you po, no, ang dami po naging basis nito. For example, sa 206 basket po, ang milk noon, nakita natin dun sa food menu, may milk po tayo. Dati po siya per brand in 2006. But in the 2012 basket of the CPI, which was used for 2015 and 2018, we have already no more Bear Brand. We have the Nido. Another example po, no? Hindi po ako nagpo-promote ng product dito. Another example po, no? Yung pong kape. Noon pong 2006 basket, Nescafe po siya. But in the 2012 basket, which was used for the 2015 and 2018, blend 45 po. So, parang nag-interchange po ito, hindi po kasi naisulat, no? Pero, there has been a change in the basket for the CPI from the 2006 to 2012. That is why, dire-compute lang po namin yung earlier release namin na 2015 using the 2012 basket for it to be comparable with the 2018 poverty statistics. Meron po tayong naunang release in 2016 na poverty statistics for 2015, pero ibang numbers po yun kasi that was using the 206 basket. Pero ito pong 2015 na revised uses the 2012 basket. And also for 2015 and 2018, we are using now the results of the 2015 PopCen and the projected population for 2018 based on 2015 PopCen. Medyo ano lang po siya, no? But it's just really a matter of understanding, making sure na ito pong mga statistics po natin ay coherent. Kaya we really have to do back estimation of previous poverty statistics like the 2015. And then we have official poverty statistics among basic sectors. I-mention din po sa inyo mamaya kung ano yung basic sectors. And then we have city and municipal level poverty statistics na lagi pong hinahanap ng mga local government units po natin. So, the latest that we have po is 2015. Yung pong 2018 na city municipal level statistics, poverty statistics, we will report it in mid of 2021. And then meron po tayong multidimensional poverty index. We have initial estimate for the 2016 and 2017 based on an initial methodology that was also reported to the PSA board, which is the highest policy-making body on statistics. So, just a little more po, no? Ano po ba itong ating poverty statistics? Next slide, please. Wala na. Okay. So, i-mention ko na lang po itong basic sectors po natin. Yung basic sectors po natin, meron po tayong 14 basic sectors according to the Social Reform and Poverty Alleviation Act or Republic Act 8425. But we are only able to release estimates of 8 out of the 14 basic sectors. So itong 8 na ito, farmers, fisherfolk, women, senior citizens, persons living in urban areas, informal sector, migrant workers. So meron po tayo, but for the 2018, we hope to be able to release poverty statistics for persons with disability. Kasi kinuha din po namin siya doon sa labor force survey namin. And then the multidimensional poverty index, meron po tayo, if you can check our website, we have the initial estimate for 2016 and 2017. Bakit po natin kailangan ng multidimensional poverty index? Because as you have been hearing from my presentation, income poverty estimates po ito. Dinidisseminate po natin na official poverty statistics. But many would be asking, saan ba natin matatagpuan itong mga income poor na ito? So that's why we have the MPI to complement the income poverty statistics, because the MPI would point to us the deprivations of the families or the Filipinos in terms of education, in terms of housing, water, and sanitation. Deprived ba sila? Disadvantaged ba sila? In terms of employment, and in terms of health and nutrition. So, we are really embarking on a research to come up with the official methodology for the MPI. Kasi po itong nirelease namin, again, may I mention that is just an initial methodology. But even for the initial methodology, we have to ask the PSA board to inform them that we are releasing the official, the initial methodology to solicit comments from the public and from the agencies concerned in the implementation of programs related to education, health and nutrition, housing, water, and sanitation, and employment. So, meron po kami na receive na comment from the DepEd. Kasi ang cut-off po natin sa education sa MPI, educational attainment, if any member of the household, 18 years old and over, did not finish high school, we tag that as deprived siya sa education. So sabi ng DepEd Secretary, bakit ang taas-taas ng cut-off na ginamit natin, high school graduate? Samantalang other countries, computing the MPI, they're using only 6 years schooling. So ang sagot po namin officially, graciously, dahil nagsosolicit nga po kami ng comments, sabi namin because by law, education, basic education is free. At hanggang saan ba yung basic education? High school graduate. So yon ang initial na ginamit namin. But again, we would like that many of our statistics are to be acceptable to many users. So, sa pag-aaral po na ginagawa namin ngayon, para magkaroon ng official methodology for the MPI, we have hired a consultant. She's already on board, working on it, will be working with us. We will do a lot of consultations. Una na po, nakalista sa kukonsultahin po namin ang DepEd, kung ano nga po ba talaga yung mga cut-off. And also we will be consulting other relevant agencies, the DOH for health, housing, water, and sanitation, also DOH and the housing agencies, and employment, the DOLE, and other relevant agencies. So that ultimately by at the close of this year, we hope to be able to have the PSA board approve an official methodology for the MPI to complement our income poverty statistics. So, maraming salamat po for kindly listening. Hopefully, you're able to take stock and appreciate the methodology that we are using for the income poverty statistics and also the other related poverty measures that we are coming up in the PSA. Thank you and good morning po sa inyo.